So the NFL just came up with a new rule that I absolutely hate. I guess I shouldn't say it's a new rule, but what's going to happen is that it appears as though they're going to start enforcing taunting a lot more seriously, which I just hate, and I have several reasons why. We'll get into that in a second. First, let me just play the clip in full to you that they will be, I'm going to only be able to play the audio because the video will get copyright claimed, so I'll play the audio of the about 60-second clip of what they're talking about.
The NFL Players Association, coaches, and competition committee have all made a strong statement regarding respect among everyone on the field. We saw an increase in actions that clearly are not within the spirit and intent of this rule, and not representative of the respect due opponents and others on the field. Game officials have been instructed to strictly enforce the taunting rules, and players and coaches are reminded that 2 taunting penalties committed by an individual player will result in automatic disqualification. In addition, the taunting player may be fined and/or suspended, depending on the severity of the actions.
So that's what they had to say. I wanted you to be able to hear it from the horse's mouth itself. Is that how that expression works? Regardless. So they also gave us a couple of clips of examples of what they really want to make sure they take out of the game. So there's 2 of them. I will show those 2 clips. So right here, first you have, I believe that's Paris Campbell flexing in someone's face, and then you're going to have Jarvis Landry sort of slam a football down and just stare for a second. To me, I just don't have a huge issue with that being a part of the game. Like, and so I tweeted out about it right when I saw it, and here's what I had to say. I wrote, if this is true, I hate it. Taunting shouldn't even be a penalty. I want to see a team win because they're the better football team, not because they stare at people less. I also thought that Chris Collinsworth had a funny tweet where he said he had this. He just quote tweeted it and said, hockey players can't stop laughing, which is very true, I think. But okay, now we're all caught up. Now you guys know what the rule is and what my initial thoughts are. And as I said, yeah, I think it's a little bit ridiculous, quite frankly, that they consider this to be a penalty. In my opinion, and here's where my argument comes in. I want to make a video on it instead of just a tweet because I felt like, I had a lot to say about it, and it's hard to say that in just one tweet. Basically, the point of the NFL is there's 2 points, right? The first point is to see who's the best football team, and the second point is to see just to be entertained, right? It's an entertainment product, and we want to see who's the best football team. Those are the 2 points. So, in my opinion, what does this rule change help in terms of those 2 points? Who's the best football team? In my opinion, I don't like that. I want to see who plays football the best. I get the argument of, well, you should be able to keep your cool. You shouldn't do this stuff. But to me, I don't care if someone's good or bad at keeping their cool. I agree that NFL teams should now say, hey, let's not stare people down. Let's not do that stuff. We don't want a penalty. I totally agree, and it's fair to criticize people who don't do that well from this point forward now that we know it's a rule. I also just think that I don't want to see that. I don't want to, I don't want to be at the end of a game and say, well, the reason they lost is because they taunted too much. I want to see, be at the end of the game and say the reason they lost is because they didn't stop the run or whatever. That's my opinion on that. The second point of entertainment, it's a horrible move from an entertainment perspective. A horrible move. You want to see teams mad at each other. You want to see teams that hate each other. That's entertaining. I mean, no one's ever said, you know what, you got to just love how these 2 teams respect each other. I can't wait to watch the game tonight and see these 2 teams respect each other. No, we want to see, it's a cliche of these 2 teams don't like each other. That's what you want to hear. That's what you want to watch. All right, so I just ran out of disk space, so I had to, clear that up. Now I'm back. But basically, my point was that when I made my trailer for Super Bowl 55, I made sure I included Chris Jones and Tom Brady yelling at each other because that's exciting to see. You want to see that stuff. They don't call it when 2 teams are good, just, oh, those 2 teams are competitive. No, they call it a rivalry. That's what you call it. You want to see this stuff. I feel very passionate about taking that stuff out of the game. Is not a good thing. It should not be a penalty to be annoying. It should not be a penalty to be disrespectful. The reality is, when Richard Sherman went into the press conference and gave his WWE style, not press conference, but post-game interview, everyone hated the Seahawks, and that was great. That's great for football when people go into that game caring. I mean, when Tampa Bay, my favorite team, beat the New Orleans Saints in the playoffs last year, that felt if just as much, if not more satisfying than when they beat Green Bay and Kansas City, because I wanted to see them beat the team that had trash talked them all year. And, Jameis Winston eating a W, right, in one of the, post-game interviews. Like, no, it's awesome to see us then win. Antoine Winfield had the moment of the season with a taunt. Why do we want to take that out of the game when we also all love it? I don't get it. To me, I don't want to see everyone respect each other. I want to see there to be a little bit of disrespect. I like seeing guys respect each other at the end of the game, but no, I want to see some drama. That's entertaining to me, and I think to most people. That thrown out, again, these are my opinions. This is how I feel about the rule. You guys, if you don't want to see the taunting, then sure. I think that's fine. Like, we can disagree on that. It's just personal preference, but I do think that from what I've seen, the majority of people agree with me and like seeing the Antoine Winfield stuff than people that would want to get that stuff thrown out, especially young people, I would say, kind of feel that way. My personal belief on taunting, I did say I don't think it should be a penalty, and I think some people would like counter that by saying, well, what about like if someone said a racial slur? That wouldn't be good, right? You want to make sure that's out of the game. And in my opinion, that shouldn't be a 15-yard penalty. That should be way harsher of a punishment. Throw people out of the game for that or suspend them for that. Don't just give them a 15-yard penalty. That seems crazy to me. So to me, I think that there's nothing you can say that I can think of that feels like it's bad enough that it warrants some kind of punishment, but it's not so bad that it doesn't warrant like getting thrown out of the game. I really can't think of anything. Maybe someone else can, but that's kind of how I feel about it. So the last couple things I want to bring up, for one thing, I hate that 2 taunts is an ejection. That's just insane to me, because we're going to crack down on these taunts, right? And then also, if you get a second taunting penalty, you're thrown out of the game. So you mean if Jarvis Landry does what he did that I showed you, where he stares down someone, if he does that twice in a game, then he's going to be thrown out of the game? That's insane to me. Imagine getting thrown out of the Super Bowl because you looked at somebody. That's just, I think that's crazy. I really do. Again, it should be, if it's worth getting thrown out of the game, then make one taunt an ejection and sort of say like, okay, we're not going to cause these taunts very often, because it would have to be a lot to be an ejection. But that's also kind of the issue, is that these things aren't going to be implemented fairly. They never have been. Name a time when there's been, something like this, and you've been like, yeah, that was pretty consistent all year long. They didn't really have any issues. It's incredibly inconsistent. If you're a fan of basketball, you know that there's sometimes when someone will like mumble something under their breath and gets a technical foul, and then sometimes like Draymond Green will be jumping up and down the court for 30 minutes and doesn't get a technical foul. And especially once a team gets that first technical foul, once a player gets that first technical foul, they're probably not going to get another one because you get thrown out of the game. I just hate it. I want to see there to be excitement. Sports are about fun. Sports are about being entertaining. A little bit of trash talking is good, and even a lot of trash talking is good. That's my belief. That's my opinion on this. So I want to make a video and kind of really get all of my thoughts out. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Am I crazy? Do you like the new rule? Do you not want to see some trash talking and stuff? I think probably a lot of you will be on my side, but I could be wrong. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys at least understand my perspective, even if you disagree. Let me know your perspective if you do disagree. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.